Okie dokie, I believe we are all the way live. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I am your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names of kicking candy ass. Live in the color here with you on Grande's Graveyard. Welcome back to another edition of the show. And tonight, it's not round one, it's not round two, it is round three with the TEENTITANS Teen Titans. Let's go, ladies and gents. Yes, tonight, Teen Titans season numero trace. And I'm super excited to get into this one with you guys. Of course, last week I had good brother Anthony, Fever Dreamland Theater on. We talked Twilight Zone season 4. And I figured since I hadn't done a Teen Titans season ranking episode in a while, it was time for Teen Titans season 3. Of course, I did the first episode a couple years ago. Then I did the second episode. Actually, was one of the first shows I ever did with the new Wi-Fi. So that's pretty cool. But tonight, I figured we get into season 3. And I will definitely do all the seasons because Teen Titans, like I said in the first episode I covered this, is my all-time favorite animated show. And you know, I really wanted to touch on each and every single episode. And I like this format. I like this whole, tier maker format. Of course, I'm going to have the tier list up here and we're going to rank these episodes. There's, of course, 6 columns. So we're going to get right into that. So no worries there. But I also wanted to mention for the future, I won't just do Twilight Zone and Teen Titans. I could do more shows. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Tales from the Dark Side. And we was talking with John Steele about possibly getting him on here to do a season of that. We could start from season 1. And, so many other things. Tales from the Crypt would be a fun one. I'm a big fan of the show House, a big fan of the show Monk. So there's a lot of shows that I would love to get episodes out of, do full episodes on just doing a season of television. I think it's a perfect kind of formula and idea for a live stream. But without further ado, we can get into the show tonight. There's nobody in the chat as of yet, but to all my Teen Titans fans, I know, I'm sure there's a lot of people that watch normally and go, oh, he's not doing horror tonight, click. And I understand that completely. Don't get me wrong. I get it. But I am very passionate about Teen Titans, and I'm rocking this awesome shirt here that I got years and years ago. This is back in middle school, and it still fits my ass, crazy enough. So, I mean, it's kind of cool, but I mean, it is what it is. So we're going to get right into this here tonight. I've got 13 episodes to rank from, of course, Teen Titans season 3. I rewatched the entire season over the last 4 to 5 days. I've rewatched the entire season again. And I guess we can give some initial thoughts before we go episode by episode. So the idea of this season and first of all, and I always bitching about this on another stream, and Trench thought it was really funny. Why the hell is Speedy on the cover of this Blu-ray? By God, I mean, that is just the stupidest thing ever. Sorry for the glare there, but why is Speedy on the cover of this disc? It just makes no goddamn sense to me. Of course, this season was actually centered around the guy that's on disc 2, which is Cyborg. Of course, this was the season, the character arc for, Khary Payton as Cyborg. And I gotta be honest, this whole season, it is a step down from seasons 1 and 2. It is. It's not as well-rounded or as memorable as seasons 1 and 2. Like, I love season 1. They get some great character episodes, and I also think the arc with Robin and the Apprentice, I think all of that stuff's really good. Of course, season 2, the introduction of Terra and the Judas contract, that's a great season of television. Arguably my favorite season of Teen Titans. It's either season 2 or season 4 as my favorite, and season 1's a close third. This one, though, it's tough for me because I love Cyborg, probably my second favorite Titan here. I mean, I'm a big Cyborg guy, but the fact of the matter is this: I don't think his arc was done particularly well. I think there's one episode out of the 4 arc episodes he gets that is fantastically done, and it's arguably the best Cyborg episode. But the other 3, I mean, Cyborg deserved better. Of course, the main villain of the series, of the season, I should say, is Brother Blood. He was the main antagonist for Cyborg of the season. Kind of I'm not a big fan of the main antagonist here. Just didn't really like Brother Blood. We'll get into that as we go on with the season. But I don't know. Initial thoughts on season 3 are that the overall arc for Cyborg could have been done a lot better. And I think Khary Payton as Cyborg deserved a lot more, because I think it was a great character. I think they could have done a lot better. But that being said, the character episodes, like the individual character episodes for Raven, Robin, Starfire, Beast Boy, they are absolutely at an all-time peak in this particular season. I absolutely adore the character episodes, the individual character episodes. I think they're just fantastically done here. And, we're going to go one by one through all of them. So I'm super excited tonight. Everybody, we're about 5 minutes in. We're going to get into this right now. I'm going to pull up the tier list. Oh, yes, this is the tier maker. And season 3 kicked off with an arc episode. I believe it's the only season to do that. And this is season 3, episodes 1. This is Deception. Yes. When the Titans find out Brother Blood has an academy for young supervillains, Cyborg goes undercover to find out more about the operation. Yes. So this kicks off Cyborg's arc, and I will say right off the bat, this arguably is my favorite episode of the entire season. So it's weird to start off with your favorite, but it might be my favorite episode of the entire season because I think Cyborg's character and tension between the hero and the villain in this, and the whole idea of the episode, is the best of any of his arc episodes. I will definitely just come out and say that right off the bat. But basically, the Teen Titans, they fight the Hive Academy. Of course, this is the first time seeing them since Final Exam, which was it was actually my favorite episode of season 1. And basically they fight them, and then they put this tracking device on one of them, and they realize that there's this whole Hive Academy with all these up-and-coming rising students that are super villains. And the whole idea is that they want Cyborg to kind of infiltrate this academy, pretend to be a student, and dig up some dirt on what's going down. Of course, Cyborg is happy enough to do this. He makes a robot build of himself, and he has this cool thing where he has these 2 rings, and if he connects them, it can look like he's not a cyborg. It looks like he's just a normal human being. And then he could also activate it to a point where he looks like he's made of stone. Of course, Cyborg's real name in the comics was Victor Stone, thus a callback to that, Victor Stone. And he just calls himself Stone. And of course, I think the main thing that's great about this is the character arc and psychology of Cyborg. I really like how it's done in this episode. There's a point where he's looked at this activation and he's normal, and he's looking himself in the mirror and he's kind of flexing. And Starfire's watching him, and Starfire's like, "Oh, you look so weird to me." And he's like, "Believe it or not, I used to look like this. This is the original version." She says, "I prefer the prototype." And he says, "Technically, this is the prototype. I used to be just a normal, everyday human being until that accident made me into a cyborg." And they have a nice moment between the two of them. And I really like that moment as Cyborg kind of goes off into the school. And at first, he's having a hard time fitting in. Of course, people are making fun of him in the cafeteria and, of course, at lunch and stuff like that. And then in combat training, he impresses and he outshines all the other students. And then we are introduced to our lead antagonist for the season, Brother Blood. And he is so excited about Cyborg, and he's calling him Stone, of course. And Mr. Stone, you've impressed and you've put all these other kids to shame and all these things. And it's a nice, interesting dynamic between the two of them, because in this episode, there's a lot of tension there. I really like the tension between the two of them, because you're afraid that he's going to find out that Cyborg is really undercover and trying to expose them. But at the same time, there's such a big level of admiration from Brother Blood to Cyborg. And of course, that is what kind of drives the relationship. And Cyborg starts slowly but surely kind of liking being a part of the academy and liking the normalcy. Because I think that's the big thing with Cyborg's character. He is ones who crave normalcy. He doesn't want to be the Tin Man. He doesn't want to be this freak of nature, as he calls himself. He wants to be normal just like everybody else. And there's a lot of episodes before this that kind of hint on that. Of course, the sum of his parts from season 1, where he sees the kid with the wooden arm and he says, "Hey, I'm different too. It doesn't mean anything." But you get a sense in this episode that he really wanted a sense of fitting in, and he wasn't able to finish school because of the accident that happened to him and made him into a cyborg. So he never got that kind of school experience. So even though he's with all these super villains, it's enjoyable for him because he's able to live a part of his life that he never was able to live before. And I really think that's a smart way to take this episode. And it was a very good start to this whole season. It really was. Of course, Brother Blood finds out that Cyborg is Cyborg very shortly into the episode. And he says, "Listen, I can give you what you want." And Cyborg says, "What do you mean?" And he touches him, and Cyborg's hand turns from robot to human. And he's like, "This is real. I can feel my hand. How did you change me back?" And he's like, "If you join me, I will take you under my wing and I will give you what you want. I will give you the life that you've always yearned for and that was taken away from you. And Cyborg, without missing a beat, goes, I'll do anything you say. Of course, then the Titans come to the Hive Academy, and you get a giant brawl between, of course, Jinx, Gizmo, Mammoth, and Stone against the Teen Titans, including the robotic Cyborg that is the kind of, placeholder for him. And Beast Boy's trying to use the remote control. Very fun. I like that stuff. And the final action scene is a lot of fun. Robin's trying to, Cyborg, take it easy. This, stop acting. And this isn't an act. It throws Robin like a rag doll. Really good. I like the whole fight scene, and the visual aesthetic of the school of the Hive Academy is really cool. I mean, the entire school is almost like a giant beehive. I mean, it's kind of interesting dynamic and look for a supervillain school, if you will. And of course, the Teen Titans are taken captive, and it's up to the robotic Cyborg to take down the original. He runs into him. They have a fight, and Cyborg Stone beats the shit out of this robot so bad that he breaks his rings and blows his cover. He's now exposed for being Cyborg, and everybody else is shocked except, of course, Brother Blood. And he says, now I need you to destroy them. And Cyborg's eyes kind of glow red as almost if he's been possessed by Brother Blood. And Beast Boy has this great moment where he says, Cyborg, don't do this. We're friends. And Cyborg goes, sorry, I have new friends. And he's pointing the sonic cannon at them as if he's going to kill them. And then, of course, classic Cyborg turns around, psych, and shoots the sonic cannon at Brother Blood and company. And the whole place goes down as his sonic cannon goes up to the roof and the whole thing starts to collapse. And I love, there's a great moment where Jinx kind of looks at him disgusted and says, you could have been one of us. And then once again, Cyborg, without missing a beat, goes, I could have been a lot of things. And they get out of Dodge. They get out of the Hive Academy. And I think that line right there says a lot about Cyborg, because here's somebody that, like I was saying before, he yearned for normalcy and he yearned to be just, everybody else, another everyday man. And he cannot be that. And he wanted this normal school life and he wanted to just fit in. But again, he wasn't able to get that either. I mean, there's so many things that Cyborg desires that he cannot get. And it's a shame because in that way, Cyborg is a tragic character. But again, I like that moment of, oh yeah, I could have been one of you, but I could have been a lot of things. I could have been a lot worse. I could have been a lot better, but this is the hand I'm stuck with. I like that psychology. I like that dialogue. And then of course, Cyborg is back into his room in the tower, and Starfire comes in once again to check in on him. And he says, I never realized how much I wanted to be not what I am. And I wish I was normal. And Starfire says, to me, you are normal and you are one of our friends and we always have your back. And it's a nice character moment between the two of them. And Starfire and Cyborg don't get many character moments. It's weird. Like, there's quite a few episodes of Teen Titans. There's over 60 episodes. Very rarely are there episodes between certain like Starfire and Beast Boy have one episode where it's like them two together. Of course, Cyborg and Raven have one episode where it's them two together. There's not a lot of episodes where it's Starfire and Cyborg. I mean, the only other episode I could think of is How Long Is Forever, where they had that moment in the tower where she comes and he's hooked up and he's all fucking disheveled and shit like that. I really like that character moment between the two of them, of her saying like, listen, I understand you're not happy with how you look and stuff, but we love you for who you are. And you have to love yourself for who you are. And it's a nice moment. It really is a nice moment and drives home the point of their friendship. Deception for me, this is an easy masterpiece episode of Teen Titans. I love this one. Arguably my favorite of the entire season. I wish to God that the rest of this character arc for Cyborg was as good as this episode. Like, part of me thinks this should have just been a standoff episode. Like, why make an arc out of this? Because Brother Blood loses all of his tension after this. And we'll get into this in other episodes with Brother Blood, but I don't know. Part of them maybe were going for the whole Robin Slade dynamic. I'm not sure if they were trying to replicate that, because it certainly feels like that's what they were going for. And like at the end of the day, nobody is Robin and Slade except Robin and Slade. Like that dynamic, you can't recreate it. And I feel like they almost tried to do that here with Brother Blood and Cyborg. And we'll get into it later on with the Titans East episode, the 2-part season finale. But Deception to me is the best Cyborg episode of the entire series. I love it. To me, it's very well acted by Khary Payton. The line delivery is fantastic, and I could have been a lot of things. And when I was at the Hive, I felt that I was normal. And I don't know. I really enjoy his performance in this. Khary Payton's best performance is the character of Cyborg in this episode for me. An absolute masterpiece episode of Teen Titans, and a great way to kick off a solid season of TV. Slasher Friends in the house. If you ever seen that show called Super Friends, it also had the character of Cyborg. Yes, and I believe I know there was an 80s Teen Titans comic, but I've never read it. I actually worked at Comic-Con for a few days, and it sold like hotcakes, the 80s version of Teen Titans. I should have bought a couple copies just for curiosity. But, that's something down the road maybe I could do. I mean, I'd like to definitely collect because I love this show. I know this show actually had trading cards too, and I never realized that till recently. You can see like booster packs of Teen Titans that are opened up on YouTube. Very cool stuff. I don't know if they're expensive like Pokemon cards are now, but I definitely would like to check that out because I love this show. Robert Simeon's in the house. Good brother Robert. Welcome to the Graveyard, man. Good episode. Love it. I agree. Love Deception. I completely agree with you. I love this episode. I think Deception is arguably my favorite episode of the entire season. And this is a solid season. Don't get me wrong, but I really like this episode right here. Deception is awesome. But coming up next, funny enough, on this list here, they don't have it here at the bottom. I don't know why. They have 12 episodes as opposed to the 13. And the one they're missing is the second episode of the season. This is the episode X. Of course, bringing back Red X. And I give you a brief plot synopsis. Someone has stolen the Red X suit and is planning on powering it up. Can Robin stop his own creation? Yes, X. This is episode 2. Now, of course, Red X was introduced in the episode Masks back in season 1 when Robin went undercover, pretended that he was captured in this net, and he was actually undercover as Red X stealing things to try to get to Slade. Of course, Red X shows up when the Titans show up to a robbery, and they're all, are you Red X, Robin? What are you doing? And stuff like that. So the Robin suit has been stolen. He assures them it's not him. And the mystery is out for X. Who is Red X and what is he after? Now, Red X has been one of the most famous characters of the entire series, and a lot of people have all these theories. Oh, is it Jason Todd? Is it this person? Is it that person? There's a lot of theories as to who Red X is. I don't know. I never really had a theory. I don't know if the character really intrigued me enough because this is really one of the only episodes that the character that is not Robin undercover is in. It's this episode and Revved Up from season 5. That's the only 2 episodes that Red X appears in. So I don't know if it's one of those things that maybe they should have focused on more, or maybe they should have done another episode of Red X to learn a little bit more about him. But again, that's the whole appeal of the Red X character. It's an awesome suit, awesome design. It's like a skull mask and this kind of red X on his body. Very cool. He's got this cool utility belt. He almost is like a Darth Robin, like a Star Wars version of Robin, and with that kind of red, black, and white color scheme. Very cool. This is a good episode. I see that it's very highly reviewed by people. I don't know if I would consider this a great episode. It's solid. Basically, they're after him, and then they run into this new villain, Chang, and he's like this guy who sells to a lot of villains. And then, of course, by the end, he is the villain of the episode, and Robin and Red X must team up to kind of fight him and free the other Titans. This is an interesting episode, but for me, definitely nothing special in a season where I actually like a lot of the character episodes. This is not one of my favorite ones. It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's actually quite good. It actually has some like John Woo movie feels to him. Like there's a lot of white doves and the action sequences are very similar. There's a lot of action in this episode, so I appreciate it for that. But there's also kind of a nice back and forth between Robin and Red X, and Red X is kind of flirting with Starfire. So you get the idea, is this Jason Todd? Because I always believed that Dick Grayson is the Robin in the show. Of course, I'm pretty sure that's widely accepted. I know it's never said, but it seems that way. I mean, it's implied in Fractured. It's implied in season 3, episode 5's Haunted. I mean, there's so many episodes that imply he's Dick Grayson. So, I mean, that's all I always thought. But Jason Todd, I don't know if it's Red X or not. I don't know. Do people have theories? Do people have fun, interesting, crazy theories on that? I'd like to hear it. But this episode for me, it's a little bit middle of the road. Of course, I can't rank it on here because it's not an option of a picture to pick here, I would put it in this row, though. I'd say it's like a solid episode of Teen Titans. Nothing great, nothing to run home about, but an episode that seems to be very popular amongst people. And I mean, that's pretty cool. I don't know. I just never really got into it like most other people, but not a bad episode by any stretch of the imagination. Moving on though into season 3, episode 3, excuse me, I'm burping like crazy tonight. This is Betrothed. Yes, Starfire heads back to her home planet for marriage. The Titans then follow in pursuit. Yes, Betrothed. Now, this is a really good Starfire episode, in my opinion. Of course, Starfire is packing her bags at the beginning of the episode, and the Titans, where the hell are you going? You know, is this not? This is hopefully not the transformation episode all over again. And she goes, "No, I'm going back to my home planet of Tamaran, and I'm getting married." And all the Titans are shocked by this, but Robin especially is upset. "You're getting married?" He asks her about 5 times. "You're getting married?" I mean, he cannot believe it. He's so upset about this. And then, of course, you know, he's mad, and they get to the home planet, and we're introduced to Starfire's nanny, her Knorfka, who took care of her as a child. And it's this giant fucking guy who's like very intimidating and actually scares Beast Boy, which I thought was kind of funny. You get introduced to him, and then we see that Blackfire has taken the throne and rules all of Tamaran now, and is forcing Starfire to marry this disgusting creature known as Glurtle Sletch. And Glurtle Sletch apparently has all of his boys on the outside going to destroy their planet if Starfire does not marry him. Of course, this is what Blackfire tells us, and we shouldn't believe Blackfire, right? The Titans split up, and they kind of find out that this is all a ruse to fuck Starfire over, and Starfire's getting ready to get married. Even though she doesn't want to get married to this thing, she realizes that she feels it's the right thing to do for her planet, and thus very much going along with her character is being selfless. Starfire is probably the most selfless of all the Teen Titans, because she would get married to somebody she didn't love in order to help the rest of her planet, and despite her love for Robin, and has to leave her friends. I mean, that's a very nice kind of, you know, approach to writing Starfire's character, and I think it goes perfectly in suit. And then this thing basically plays out where Starfire is at the altar and Robin is fighting all these people. Starfire, you know, kind of similar vein to The Graduate of all things, a Graduate nod. Funny. Of course, the Titans kind of tell her, "Listen, this is all a ruse, and you can't marry this fucking thing." And, you know, Starfire, "Do you or do you not take this thing to be your husband?" "I do not." And of course, sister versus sister, Starfire challenges her sister Blackfire to the throne of Tamaran. And it's a great fight. It's a very emotional fight. I would say it's a lot better than the fight that they have in the Sisters episode from back in season 1. This one's a lot more action-packed, and Blackfire has this kind of red amulet that makes her even more powerful. And instead of the classic purple Starbolt, she's throwing like red Starbolts and beating the shit out of Starfire. And I like that the other Titans cannot interfere. Like the Knorfka says, "Listen, if you interfere, you know, the challenge is null and void," and Blackfire retains her throne. And it's a very personal battle for Starfire as she overcomes her sister, who's been overpowered by this amulet, pulls it out, and then just beats the shit out of her, throws her through a wall. Blackfire stands there and just crumbles to the ground. It's a great moment as Starfire kind of stands tall for her planet, for her friends, and for herself. I really like that moment for Starfire. And then, of course, they think that Starfire is going to stay on the planet and become the queen. And she says, "I'm going to give the reins to somebody who I trust." And she hands it over to her Knorfka, who took care of her for so many years. And he is going to assume the throne and take over Tamaran and take care of all these people. Very, very nice episode to me of Teen Titans. A very interesting one. I liked to see Blackfire return. Of course, I believe this was the last time you would see Blackfire as the main antagonist of an episode. She might show up in a cameo in season 5, but I believe this was like the last one where she really has something to do. And I think she did a good job. I really like Blackfire. And of course, I believe, I'm not positive if it's Hynden Walsh playing both parts. I think it is, though. I'm pretty sure it's Hynden Walsh playing Blackfire as well. And she does a great job with the dual role, of course, playing the innocent, naive, you know, bright Starfire, and then of course playing the mean, evil, sinister Blackfire. Very cool. I like Hynden Walsh's performance, and I really like this episode. It has a nice art design this episode. I really like this episode's look to it. Of course, the planet of Tamaran. I think it's very nice aesthetically to watch. And I don't know if this is a good or great episode of Teen Titans. For now, I'm gonna say good. It's a very good episode of Teen Titans. This one I could be persuaded though. It's very close to being a great episode. But maybe at the end we can reevaluate and see if we change anything. But coming up next though, it is season 3, episode 4. It is Crash. Yes, when Cyborg becomes infected by a computer virus, the Titans turn to Gizmo for his assistance. Yes, Crash. This is a crazy one. So basically, Beast Boy is trying to play this illegal video game and uses Cyborg's hard drive to try to download it because everything he tries to download the hard drive on, of course, crashes. He goes to Cyborg because, oh, why not? I mean, Cyborg is basically a fucking human robot. Who better to kind of plug your hard drive in? Of course, he does it, and Cyborg's system crashes, and Cyborg goes crazy, and for some reason starts to want to eat everything in sight. He eats a tire, he eats the counter. He's trying to eat the world in this episode, and basically Beast Boy, being guilty as he is, has to feel responsibility, and the Titans turn to an enemy in Gizmo to kind of help them get Cyborg back and get rid of this virus that has taken over Cyborg's body. Of course, Gizmo shrinks down to like microscopic size. He goes in, and Beast Boy comes along with him as an amoeba, which I thought was kind of funny. And they do break a rule here that I'm not sure people realize. So when Beast Boy takes animal form, he's never able to speak like a human in any of the other episodes. This is the only one when Beast Boy morphs into the amoeba that he's actually able to speak like a human. So I thought that was interesting. I was like, wow. I was like, they broke that one rule here. It's the only time I believe in the entire series that when Beast Boy transforms, he's able to speak normally. I thought that was interesting. And there's some fun back and forth with Gizmo and Beast Boy. And then the other 3 Titans, Raven, Starfire, and Robin, are trying to just stop Cyborg from eating things the whole time. And it ultimately comes to this climax where Cyborg is going to eat the giant satellite in front of the city. I mean, it's crazy. And of course, Beast Boy and Gizmo have to save Cyborg from the virus until it's too late. It's a fun one. It's a harmless one. This is one of those classic, like, okay, turn my brain off and kind of just be entertained for 22 minutes episodes. And I like it for that. I believe this is the lowest rated episode of the season. I don't think I would agree with that. I don't dislike this episode at all. This is tough. I don't know. I maybe would put this a little bit above even X. I don't know. Like it's not great. It's not that good. I would say it's a solid episode of Teen Titans. So I'm going to get the tier list up back here. I'm going to say Crash is a solid episode. Nothing terrible, nothing bad. But it's a fun enough watch. I don't think it's anything to be taken too seriously, and it's one that I kind of enjoy and I have some laughs out of, because Cyborg again it's kind of really funny in this episode. He's just like, that looks like a voluptuous cupcake, and it's just a giant piece of metal, and he eats it anyway like it's nothing. It's just like, I love at the end, he's like, oh, my stomach, he's so fucking, his stomach's so upset. And I don't know, I like this one. I think this is a fun Beast Boy episode, and something you could see Beast Boy being stupid enough to do, but his friendship for Cyborg ultimately shows how good of a heart that Beast Boy has at the end of the day. And I like this episode for that. I like this episode. Crash, definitely a solid episode of Teen Titans. Moving up next, though, wow, arguably the most beloved episode of the entire series here, and the one that's going to be very interesting to discuss here. This is season 3, episode 5. This is Haunted. The Titans set out to stop Slade, who has mysteriously returned. The main problem, Robin is the only one who can see him. Yes, Haunted from season 3, of course, episode 5. This is actually, I believe, one of the highest rated episodes of the series and a lot of people's favorites. And I really like this episode, and I think it's arguably Robin's best episode. I would go on enough to say that. And like, it's funny, this series has a lot of great character episodes, especially for, I would say, Raven, and I think, Cyborg has a bunch. But I would say overall that Robin did not have a better standalone episode than this one right here. Of course, at the beginning of the episode, Robin is looking on the generators very late at night. Cyborg comes up to him and says, "Hey, what are you doing up so late?" And Robin says, "I'm still looking for him." And Cyborg's like, "Listen, Slade's gone. He fell into a pit of lava. Like, you have to get sleep. You have to move on. he's dead. You have to let it go. And of course, Robin can't do it because that was his arch rival. That was a big thing that kept Robin going. And Robin kind of goes down to the basement of Titan Tower and sees Slade's mask, and he kind of blows on it. There's some dust that he inhales, and he looks at this mask and puts it down. And Cyborg's like, listen, you have to let this go. I'm sorry. Robin turns to him, and then you hear an alarm go off. Of course, Cinderblock is the villain, and they fight Cinderblock in the rain. Robin gets thrown from the fight, and when he gets up, he sees Slade is in the woods. And it's a really creepy atmosphere and aesthetic that this episode is able to create as Robin chases down Slade and tries to fight him. And he cannot get any offense in on Slade at all. Slade is just too quick. And I love, in particular, the performance of Ron Perlman in this episode as Slade. I think this is Ron Perlman's best performance as the character of Slade for the entire series. I love it. I think he does a really good job delivering these great monologues and beating the holy hell out of Robin throughout pretty much this entire episode, as Robin is trying to take Slade on and stuff like that. Of course, the Titans come on and they're like, listen, where'd you go? We had to fight Cinderblock on our own. And he says, Slade's back. He's back. And they're like, are you sure about that? And he's like, yes, he's spread all these detonators around, and they're going to charge this big earthquake and snap our city into two. We have to split up. We have to find him. Of course, Cyborg goes to look for generators. Beast Boy and Raven do as well, but Starfire and Robin go on to look for Slade. Robin finds him, is fighting him, and then he says to Starfire, don't let him get away. Slade runs right past Starfire, and she doesn't see him at all. And Robin, for one of the first times ever in the series, gets very angry with Starfire, grabs her arm, and is like, why didn't you do anything? And Starfire is in shock. And she's like, you're hurting my arm. Like, stop it. Like, you need to calm down. And he's like, he ran right past you. You can't tell me you didn't see him. He ran right past you. And you get this whole dynamic of the four of them thinking Robin's gone nuts. And we, as an audience, see Slade. We see Robin fighting him. And are you cloaking yourself? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? We don't know when the episode is going on. And of course, Robin keeps encountering Slade, and he's getting the shit beat out of him this whole episode. I mean, it is the biggest beating that any Titan takes in one single episode, is this episode right here, Haunted. Robin gets his ass handed to him, and then again. I mean, it's nuts. Of course, Robin threatens his own team in this episode, and I don't care if you guys can't see him, and I'm the only one that could stop him. This is personal for me. And it was. I mean, that's the whole point of this, is how obsession can really haunt you, and obsession can be something that overtakes you, even if the thing you're obsessed with isn't there anymore. And it's a very smart episode in that vein. I think it's talking a lot about the horrors of obsession and the horrors of unhealthy obsession at that. And of course, Robin is saying, I'll take down anyone who gets in my way. And Starfire throws a starbolt at his back, and he kind of goes down. You're like, holy shit. Like, if Starfire is getting physical with this, I mean, that Robin's out of line. Of course, they restrain him down, and then he's in the tower. He locks the tower down to try to convince the Titans that Slade is there. Slade continues to just beat the shit out of Robin, man. And you're like, oh my God. And there's even a point where Robin says, Slade, stop. He asks for mercy for Slade. Robin is not the type to ask for mercy, right? He's probably the most prideful Teen Titan, and he will not ever do something like that. At least you wouldn't think. In this episode, he asks for Slade to take it easy and to give him mercy. And Slade goes, stop? You can't stop me. And kicks him in the ribs and punches him in the face. And Robin's suit is all destroyed. And his eyes are black and blue, and he's swollen and all these things. And Slade gets this great monologue in on how, I am the thing that keeps you up at night. I am the evil that haunts all the darkest corners in your mind. And he's just, Ron Perlman does a great job in this episode of proving to Robin just how important Slade is to his heroism. And I love there's a point where Raven goes into Robin's body, and she sees all of the traumatic things that have happened in his life. Of course, the death of his parents, the signing in inauguration with Batman, and how that did not go too well. It's a lot of interesting things, and you see Robin's past. But of course, she says, Robin, listen, he's not here. You have to calm down. And of course, Slade, bam, punches Rob right in the face, and Raven realizes, okay, he's not crazy. To Robin, he is real. To us, he's not. And of course, Robin is getting up, and my friends, they tell me you're not real. And Slade goes, I'm real enough to finish you. And he goes up for a giant kick, and Robin turns the lights on, and then Slade disappears. And Robin has the great line of the episode, lights out, Slade. I love it. I mean, it is such a great, badass line delivered by Scott Menville, who plays Robin. Just fantastically done. And the entire feeling that this episode derives is fantastic. It is dark. It is gritty. It is very unsettling in a lot of ways, in my opinion. And it's dark. It's probably the darkest episode of the entire series. I mean, most of the thing takes place at night, if not the whole. I believe the whole episode takes place at night. So I mean, that is what it is. A lot of fighting scenes in the rain and chasing scenes in the rain, and then of course in the tower when the lights are flickering. Once the lights are on, Slade disappears. When they go off, he's there. Very cool. Very cool. Very well directed. Very powerful, and a very good episode for Robin's character. I understand why people consider this one of the great episodes of the series, because it is. It really is not overrated in any way, shape, or form. This is a great episode of Teen Titans. Dare I say, a masterpiece. The Master of Fear is here. What's going on, Fear? I love that episode. It truly shows Robin's obsession with Slade and how bad it is. It's literally killing him. Exactly. And, there's a point where the Titans are like, you need to stop. He's not here. And he's like, you think I did this to myself? He's all beaten up and disheveled and stuff like that. Very cool, man. I really, really like this episode. It's a good one. Miss C is in the house. Ciao, Grande. Ciao, everyone in the chat. What's going on? Mateo wasn't here tonight yet, at least yet. I don't know. But ciao. In the words of the Emperor Palpatine, there is no mercy. Yes, join me. I like how even though they weren't able to use Batman, they still hinted at his existence. Yeah, no, you see it's a shadow, and he has his hand over the suit, almost as like he's signing in to work with Batman in the cave. I like that. And of course, you see the tragic death of his parents. You see a hint at Nightwing. I really like this one. I think it's a really good episode. Scott Menville, who played Robin, also did the voice of Mai Tai on Captain Planet, also did many other voice characters. Yes, and he is a great voice actor. I really like Scott Menville. But this particular episode, one of the best in the entire series. And I like that there's a little bit of a cliffhanger that we never get an answer to in this episode. Of course, Cyborg says, hey, Slade pulled off one last trick. The reason Robin was seeing him is he had this kind of chemical on his mask, and, it triggered all those memories, and that's why Robin was able to see him. We weren't. And he said, but there's a reason that this happened. Somebody triggered that chemical from outside the tower, and we never get the answer as to who that was. So I really like that. I think that's a really well done episode of Teen Titans. To me, Haunted is the second masterpiece of season 3. I really, really enjoy this one. And I think this is an all-time series classic, one that I definitely think people need to watch, and one that gets all the hype and love. And I could see why it does, because it's a really, really good acted episode. It's a very dreary. I mean, trust me, this is not a fun episode of Teen Titans in any way, shape, or form, but it's a very powerful, impactful, important one. And to me, it's one of the highlights of season 3. Season 3, episode 5, Haunted. So moving on into season 3, episode number 6. This is Spellbound. Raven becomes obsessed with helping free an ancient magician trapped inside a spell book. Yes, Spellbound. Now, this is our first Raven-centered character episode of the season, and right off the bat, I love this one. I really think this is one of the better Raven episodes as well. It's funny, when it's not the arc, like the giant Cyborg arc, which I think Cyborg deserved better. We're going to get there with Wavelength and Titans East 1 and 2. I think the character episodes as a whole are arguably the best of the series. So it's a weird, if you just are going by the character episodes, this is the best season. But most of the seasons are defined by their arc. And if you're going by the arc, it's one of the weakest arcs. So in that case, it's one of the bottom seasons. So it's weird. It's like, I don't know. I would put this season high, above any season. But I still think season 2 and season 4 have better arcs than this. And even season 1 has a better arc than this. This arc is just, oh man, I think Cyborg deserves so much better. But like I said, we'll get there. In the meantime, Spellbound. Of course, Raven is reading her book at the beginning of this, and she's reading about this ancient mythical kind of wizard that fought this giant dragon. Malchior is the name of the wizard, and she's reading about it, and you hear him narrating the whole thing. He has this very English accent, and she's liking to read this book. Of course, she keeps getting invited to do things with the other Titans, and she's not interested. Oh, do you want to go to the mall, Starfire? No. Oh, do you want to watch TV with Robin? No. Oh, do you want to play stank ball with Cyborg and Beast Boy? Hell no. Raven's just not interested in any of this, and she really driving home the point of that she just doesn't fit in, and she is creepy and she's weird, at least by her own thought of herself. And then of course she starts to talk to this wizard who is in the book, and he says, listen, I've been trapped in this book for 1,000 years, and I would like to just sit and talk with you if that's okay. And he sort of slowly but surely wins her over, and she falls in love with him, and she does this spell to get him out of the book, but he's still pages and they cannot touch each other, of course, because the curse is still in effect. And he starts to teach her dark magic unbeknownst to her in order to free him from the book. And I really like this one. I think it's really good. Of course, there's a scene where the Titans go out to fight this kind of giant heart. And Robin has this great line, "You're under arrest, Cardiac." I like that one. That's a cheesy line, but I like that line. Raven, of course, goes to fight this thing, and she cannot control her magic because now she's been practicing dark spells. She goes back to the tower and yells at him, berates him. I trusted you. I was falling in love with you. She could be seen wearing the white cloak in this, which she's only wears a couple of times in the series to signify that she is not sad. She is doing good. It signifies her happiness. I like that. That's a all callback to the comics with her father Trigon as the white cloak. And of course, we see that, of course, in season 4 as well. But it's nice to show here that she's wearing that's because she's happy. And she can even do things with her powers she never could before. She can morph Beast Boy and all of these cool things. And Malchior says, listen, I need you to get me out of this book. It's time. I love you. I want to be with you. All of this stuff. She does this spell and breaks the curse, but you learn that Malchior is not the wizard. Malchior was the dragon, and she switched with him. And the dragon comes out of this spell book, and Raven just crumbles to her knees because not only has she been betrayed by someone she, loved, but she has been heartbroken. And it's a very sad moment for Raven as she crumbles to her knees, and this dragon kind of flies out of the tower. And then the Titans have to face this thing. They do this great kind of visual thing with green in this episode. Very bright neon green. And the whole aesthetic of this episode and just the background just fucking pops beautifully. It's a very majestic green. I love the color. It's fantastic. The Titans are fighting the dragon, but to no avail. Raven comes out and says, hey, you taught me a lot of dark magic, and I may not have a spell that I learned from you that could beat you, but I did learn a curse. And she curses him back inside the book, locks the book up, and just kind of sits in her room and just is all sad and alone. And of all the Titans, I love that Beast Boy is the one to go check on her. And Beast Boy knocks it because, of course, those two clash because they're so different. And of course, in the comics, they fell in love. And this episode, this series, it never happens. They never become an item. But I like that he goes to check on her. He did love her as a friend. She loved him as a friend. And I like that he knocks on the door and says, listen, Raven, and I know you're upset. And she goes, listen, I want you to go away. And he goes, no, I want you to listen to me. He goes, I'm sorry that he broke your heart. And I know how shitty that is. And I'm sorry that he did that to you. And he said, I'm not going to say you're not creepy. You're way creepy, but it doesn't mean that you should lock yourself in your room and be something that you're not. He's like, we all love you and we're all here for you. She opens her door and just hugs him. And it's a great emotional moment as Raven realizes that she may have her differences with Beast Boy and they may fight a lot, but she did love him as a friend. And she knows that even though this other guy broke her heart, that Beast Boy always does have her back. And it's a very nice moment between the two of them as they hug, they embrace. And of course, Cyborg ruins the moment as he throws the stank ball at Beast Boy, and Raven with her powers kind of takes the stink ball, and you hear Cyborg go, no, Raven. She throws it at him, and the episode comes to an end. Very nice. I think this is a really good episode for Raven and digging into Raven's emotions and her feelings and what would happen if Raven did fall in love with someone. I really like this episode. And it's very sad because Heartbreak is something that we all have to deal with at one point in our life, and it's the worst feeling in the world. I really do believe that. I believe heartbreak is the worst feeling in the world. I don't think there's anything worse that can happen. No physical pain that is worse than heartbreak. And I think that this episode, Raven, you see that this guy, wins her trust over. And when he breaks it, she loses all love, respect, and trust in him. And it's a very, very heartbreaking episode for her. But it's nice to know that Beast Boy and the other Titans still have her back and love her for who she is. I like this episode a lot. I'm leaning towards Masterpiece. Oh man, this is a tough one here. So let me get the screen back up now. I'm leaning towards Masterpiece, but I don't know. For now, I'm going to say great. It's a great episode of Teen Titans. We could be persuaded at the end. It could be a masterpiece. It's definitely a solid, very, very good episode of Teen Titans. It's definitely a great one. One of the most wholesome scenes in the entire series. Yes, it is. It's a nice scene. And they actually have another moment together in this season in another episode. So we'll get there in The Beast Within. But I really like this one. I think it's a good Raven-centered episode. But coming up next, it is, I believe, it is going to be season 3, episode 7. This is Revolution. Yes, we want a revolution. Well, we don't want to change the world. Of course, Revolution. Bringing back Mad Mod. And in vein of this coming weekend being the 4th of July, this is the 4th of July episode of Teen Titans. Cool enough. And I always thought that was kind of cool that Teen Titans had a 4th of July episode. Crazy enough, it's written by Mr. John Esposito, who I've mentioned quite a few times in the show. He's written one of my favorite episodes of Masters of Horror, of course, Right to Die. He wrote 2 episodes of Teen Titans, this and, of course, Revved Up from season 5. And I've actually spoken to him. I'm friends with him on, social media. Very, very nice guy. And I love this particular episode. And another one that's very low rated amongst this season. I don't really get why. I think this is a really fun episode. Basically starts off, and I guess I could give the plot synopsis like I've been doing with all of these. Mad Mod has taken Robin's youth for his own and has hypnotized the whole country into thinking that the American Revolution never, ever happened. Yes, Revolution. Now, I really like this one. Basically, Mad Mod returns. He tricks Robin and switches bodies with him. Of course, Robin is now the old man and Mad Mod is his original young self. And the whole idea of this episode I really like is the 4 Titans, of course, Beast Boy, Starfire, Cyborg, and Raven have to team together without their leader and figure out a way to beat Mad Mod. And they all have a separate plan. Raven wants to do a sneak attack. Cyborg wants to fight everybody. Starfire wants to go find Robin. And then Beast Boy has this, of course, absurd Beast Boy plan of being, flying squirrel or gerbils and shit like that. He has all these weird plans and ideas. I like this episode because it's the one where Robin is not in it really to help them. It's really up to them to figure out what they want to do. And they try each and every plan and they all fail. And this episode is an interesting kind of artistic dynamic as everything looks like it's old school England. And the sky is not even the sky. It's just the British flag. I thought that was very fun. Mad Mod is a fun villain. Malcolm McDowell does a very good job as Mad Mod. I think he's very fun in this episode. I think he gives a good performance as the villain. Very witty. There's a fun musical number and a great, song where Mad Mod is chasing the Titans. In similar vein to the first time Mad Mod, where the Titans are chasing him. In this episode, he's chasing the Titans. And they play this great song, raining down on the 4th of July for me. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba for me. Great. I mean, the music in this is a great, great one. I mean, I really enjoy the soundtrack of this episode. And it's a lot of fun. I mean, they fight these giant, toy soldier, wooden soldier things. That I like the combat there. There's a really cool scene where they all kind of huddle together and, hey, what are we going to do? And, they read the whole Declaration of Independence and they realize that they don't need 4 different plans. They need one big plan. And all of them kind of, huddle up and come up with this big game plan to get the cane from Mad Mod and get Robin back to his normal self. And of course, they all sacrifice themselves. Oh, well, where's the green one? And Starfire goes, the green one is our plan. And of course, Beast Boy comes out, grabs the cane from Mad Mod, and it flips up in the sky. Mad Mod looks like he's going to catch it. Robin grabs it, even though he's old man, clicks, switches back, and Mad Mod's day is ruined. Really fun episode to me, and a nice way to bring in something like the 4th of July. Like, because this series didn't do a lot of holidays. Like, there's not a Christmas episode of Teen Titans. There's winter-themed episodes. There's not a Halloween episode of Teen Titans. There's Fear Itself, which is a horror movie vibe, like a Japanese horror vibe to it. But this is one of the few holiday episodes of the series, and I thought it was really well done and interesting to do the 4th of July. That's not one that a lot of people would think to do. Of course, a lot of TV shows have, oh, that's the Christmas episode. This is the 4th of July episode for Teen Titans. And I think John Esposito did a great job writing this. I like the action scenes. I like the whole idea of the Titans having to work without Robin, and they overcome it at the end of the day, even though at first there's some bumps in the road. The whole visual art style, the music, I really like this one. I think Revolution is a very underrated season 3 episode here. And I'm going to have to say this is a great episode of Teen Titans. I really think this is a great one. I have a lot of fun with it. I have a lot of laughs with it. And I think that overall it's, a very interesting kind of trip for Teen Titans to go down. And I kind of dig this episode for that. I really like Revolution. Solid episode. There was a crossover movie called Teen Titans Go to the Movies. Yeah, it's funny. So after Teen Titans ended, they made it into Teen Titans Go a few years down the road. Same voice actors, but it was much more centered towards like younger kids. I'm talking, 5 and under. And the Titans didn't really fight crime anymore. Now they were doing laundry, and the episodes are only like 10 to 15 minutes. It's a very weak show, in my opinion. They did Teen Titans Go and Teen Titans Go to the Movies, and they brought back the original Teen Titans at the beginning going, we could find a way back, thus leading to the insanely disappointing Teen Titans versus Teen Titans Go, which is a terrible movie, and I hate it. And I don't think I'll ever review that on the show. I'll just say that now. But if you want a real Teen Titans movie, it is actually a part of this set here. This is, of course, the made-for-TV movie, Teen Titans Trouble in Tokyo. Love this movie. I think it's a great made-for-TV movie and a really nice kind of send-off for the teens. I like Teen Titans Trouble in Tokyo. It's a good one. And I will, when I get to season 5, because I'm going to do all the seasons of this, because I'd like to talk about every episode of Teen Titans on this channel at some point. And tonight we're rounding up season 3. I will definitely discuss the made-for-TV movie as well, because I really like Trouble in Tokyo. I think it's an awesome little movie. But coming up next, we have, let's see, it is season 3, episode 8, It is Wavelength. Aqualad asks the Titans for help when Brother Blood creates a new underwater fortress using Cyborg's technology, and Cyborg takes it personally. Now, I got to be honest with you. Of this season, this is probably the weakest episode. There's not much to run home about here. This is like a setup episode for Titans East, the finale. And I don't know, it's a very unmemorable episode. Not much happens. Basically, Cyborg is upset that Brother Blood is taking such inspiration and has stolen his blueprints. You do get the introduction to Bumblebee, who is a character I really very much like. Of course, I believe the mother from That's So Raven voices Bumblebee, and she does a great job. I like Bumblebee as a character. She has a fight with Cyborg that I think was good. But of course, once the TV goes off and Brother Blood stops watching, she goes, "Hey, Sparky, I'm one of you. There's no man that can control my brain, blah, blah, blah." Okay, funny, cool, whatever. They also do a lot of clashing between Robin and Cyborg in this, where Robin is saying, "You need to take my orders," and Cyborg goes, "This is my vision, my bad guy, my blueprints." He feels it's very personal to him, and Robin doesn't respect that at first. And they plant that seed here. It's okay, but I would say this is the least memorable episode of the entire season. It's the one that I would absolutely, like, if I was marathoning them, I would even skip this episode. It's nothing to run home about. It's nothing that great. Aqualad is basically wasted. I feel like Aqualad barely had anything to do in this. To me, this is a filler. This is a very filler episode, and that sucks for an arc, because arc episodes should not be filler. The filler episode should be filler. But this is an arc episode that I just don't really care for. I would say Wavelength is probably my least favorite episode this season. I wouldn't say it's bad. And I guess I could spoil this right now. I wouldn't say any of the episodes in this season are bad, like Every Dog Has Its Day. I had that as ranked as bad. But to me, Wavelength is going to fall into the okay category. So I already put it down there. Wavelength goes right in the okay column. It's an okay episode. Nothing great, but again, nothing bad at the same time. Just kind of middle of the road episode for me, especially for an arc. I wish it was better. There was a crossover. Okay, Teen Titans Go to the movies. Tara Strong, who voiced Starfire, also did the voice of Bubbles on the Powerpuff Girls. Now, interesting. Actually, Tara Strong voiced Raven. Initially, she tried out to play Starfire because Starfire and Bubbles are similar characters. The bubbly, naive, nice personality. Bubbles and Starfire aren't too different, and they can both kick ass when they want to. However, once Hynden Walsh went in for Starfire, they felt that she nailed it. And they were like, listen, we want to have you. You're Tara Strong. I mean, you're one of the best, most popular voice actresses in the world. We'd like you to try Raven. And Raven's the opposite. Raven's depressed all the time and down and, tragic. And like Tara Strong, you'd think, how is that going to work? And Tara Strong nailed it. And to this day, it's Tara Strong's best character. Tara Strong has even said that. So it's really crazy because, yeah, Tara Strong voices Raven. Although everyone would have thought Starfire was the no-brainer. Interesting. Mateo's in the house. Ciao, Grande. Ciao, Mateo. What's up, brother? Hope all is well with you, man. We're just chilling, talking about Teen Titans here tonight, man. Season 3, and we're actually going to move on to our next episode here. This is Season 3, Episode 9. This is The Beast Within. Beast Boy takes flack about not being tough enough. Exposure to some chemicals sparks a change in him, but maybe not for the better. Yes, the Beast. Hold on. I forget the name already. The Beast Within. Sorry. The Beast Within. I really like this one. And this is arguably the best Beast Boy character episode. It's so funny. This season's so weird. Like, bad arc, but the character episodes are like the best. So it's like the biggest mixed bag of all time. But I really like this one. Basically, this one starts off where the Titans are fighting Adonis, who was a villain created for this show. He was not in the comics, to my knowledge. They're fighting Adonis. It's basically this guy in a giant red mega suit. And he's flirting with Raven. He's beating the shit out of Cyborg, outpowering him. And he's kind of taunting Beast Boy. He's like, you're not big enough. You're not strong enough. You're not good enough to take Adonis down. He always speaks about himself in the third person. And, Beast Boy just gets angry at one point, turns into a bear, and just starts clawing the shit out of him. And they go into this kind of vat of chemicals where Beast Boy just goes nuts and just angrily beats the hell out of Adonis. And, Robin's, careful the chemicals. He's trying to stop him. Of course, Beast Boy defeats Adonis and he walks out and they're like, good work, Beast Boy. And they're like, what got into you? And Beast Boy goes, I just got tired of being pushed around. And he kind of walks off. And that kind of mood and attitude takes center stage for Beast Boy the rest of this episode. He notices that he's starting to change. Instead of being a vegetarian, he's eating meat now. Instead of being nice to everybody, he's being very mean and rude. Instead of working out normally, he's morphing into animals to work out harder, to get stronger. He's very much driven by anger and hatred in this episode, which is the exact opposite of what Beast Boy that we all know and love is normally driven by. And it's a nice, interesting character dilemma for him because he's not in his own mind. He is being taken over by these chemicals. And at nightfall, he turns into this kind of giant wildebeest thing. And of course, that is a kind of harken back to American Werewolf in London, where there is a kind of transformation scene where Beast Boy is, God damn it, God damn them. And he's throwing things in his room and they always take her side and they're never on my side. And who has my back? Nobody. And he's throwing all these things around his room. And then he turns into this giant beast. And he cannot remember, how he got to his room or why he slept on the floor. His whole life is a mess. Of course, there's a really good scene with he and Raven as he's walking in the hallway and Raven bumps into him. She's reading her book. He walks and kind of shoulder bumps her. And she goes, sorry. And she picks up her book and he goes, you better watch where you're going. And she goes, second thought, I'm not sorry. You're a jerk. And Beast Boy goes up to her and fucking threatens her. He's like, you know what, Raven? I've been a nice guy for a long time. He's like, consider this a warning. Consider this a threat. And Raven's like, this is the part where I'm supposed to be scared. And he's like, no, this is. And he morphs into this fucking giant animal. And fucking Robin, Cyborg, and Starfire show up, and they're like, leave her alone. Like, we need to talk. And Beast Boy's like, what do you got? What do you got to say to me? He's like, if you want to act like this, you're going to fucking have to go somewhere else. And they have this big clashing of heads here. Of course, later that night, Raven thinks she hears somebody break into the tower. Beast Boy goes missing, and we were thinking, oh my God, Beast Boy transformed into this thing and took Raven captive because of the argument they had. And the Titans go looking for him. They fight Beast Boy as he's this transformation kind of monster. Good action scene as Starfire's trying to come to the rescue of Raven to kind of wake her up. They put Raven in this kind of hospital bed, and they say to Beast Boy, listen, like, when we found you with her, she was in your teeth. And I need you to, and Robin has this great point where he goes, listen, I need you to remember what happened right now, because if you can't, I have to assume the worst and I have to send you the police. And I don't want to do this, Beast Boy. You have to remember. And he starts sweating and I can't remember. I'm sorry. And he turns into this giant beast again and grabs Raven, and he's off with Raven again. And you're like, holy shit, this is crazy. And then Cyborg and Robin come to the conclusion, like, we're going to have to take down our friend. And Cyborg has the sonic cannon out. Robin has the boom. If you got the sonic, I got the boom. They're about to sonic boom Beast Boy, their old friend. And they're like, okay, we're going to hit him with everything we got. Next thing you know, Raven wakes up from her trance and says to Starfire, listen, Beast Boy saved me. And they're like, what? And all of a sudden, there's another creature that is on the loose, and they start fighting each other. Beast Boy and this unidentified creature, they beat the hell out of each other, and then you realize that Adonis was exposed to the chemicals as well, so he's been turning into this giant kind of wildebeest thing on Nightfall as well. And it wasn't Beast Boy that grabbed Raven and endangered her. It was Adonis, and he saved his friend. And I love the scene that they have outside the tower where Beast Boy is sitting there reflecting and saying to Raven, listen, I'm really sorry that I did what I did. And she says, you weren't in your right mind. And he said, no, but what scares me is that beast inside me, that's there. And I feel it now. And I know it's there. And it scares me that it's there. And Raven says, no, it's good that it's there. And she says to him, it's a great scene between the two of them. She says, listen, if it wasn't for that beast, I may not be here right now. And, it's not something to be ashamed of, but it's knowing when to let it out is what makes you a man. And I love that scene between the two of them. And he goes, so am I beast man now? And she just kind of goes, we were having a moment here. I love that between the two of them as they kind of sit down outside the tower, and she admits to him, like, listen, like, you weren't in your right mind. Don't worry about it. But you have that darkness, channel it, use it, be a man about it, learn from this, grow from this, improve upon this. And I like that scene. I think it's a really well done Beast Boy episode. I know it sounds like broken record, probably the best Beast Boy episode of the entire series. I would fucking go out on a limb and say that. So I don't know. I really like the Beast Within. I think this is a really good episode of Teen Titans as well. I'm going to say a great episode of Teen Titans. It's going to be in this second tier here. Very, very great episode of the show. I like this episode, The Beast Within. Definitely a great season for the characters. Yeah, no, it's for the character arc episodes. It's weird because the Cyborg arc is just not that good to me. And I love Cyborg. He deserves so much better. But the individual character episodes are the best they've been in any season. So it's such a weird mixed bag. But that, I guess, of course, will bring us to season 3, episode number 10. Can I keep him? Yes. Beast Boy has been secretly keeping one of Killer Moth's insects as a pet and asks Starfire to help hide him from the others. But Starfire becomes attached. Yes. Can I keep him? Now, this is another very fun kind of tongue-in-cheek episode where Beast Boy has been holding, this fucking giant maggot thing from Killer Moth when they fought Killer Moth. He gives this whole exposition on that episode. Funny scene. Starfire has to take care of him because he knows that she will take care of it. And then, of course, she feeds him these like kind of crazy berries from Tamaran, and this thing grows to like an ungodly size. And Robin's like, listen, this thing's got to go, Starfire. Like, I'm really sorry to burst your bubble, but this thing's got to go. Of course, she's calling it Silky. She gives it a name and falls in love with it and is raising it like a child. And then, of course, Killer Moth, um, he shows up and takes control of Silky, or as he calls it, his lab experiment. And there's this great emotional moment where Silky has to pick between Starfire and Killer Moth. And here, Silky. And he's like, here, lab experiments section 374. Like, he has this very scientific name for it, and Silky doesn't know what to do. It just explodes everywhere and is reverted back to the normal form. And Starfire goes, if he stays normal size, can I keep him? Of course, hence the name of the episode. And they're like, okay, a fun episode, a very harmless episode, entertaining enough, nothing great, nothing even that good. I would say overall, this is a solid episode. I don't think anything to run home about, but definitely one that has a nice enough heart to it. And I like Starfire enough as a character to watch this one. I would say it's a solid episode of Teen Titans. Can I keep him? A definitely solid one. I like this episode. But coming up next, it is season 3, episode numero 11. This is Bunny Raven, or How to Make a Titanimal Disappear. A little bit of Dr. Strangelove title there. Raven and the Titans are sucked into Mumbo Jumbo's hat, where they play by only his rules. Yes, Bunny Raven, or How to Make a Titanimal Disappear. Now, first and foremost, I love this episode because they bring back Tom Kenny to play Mumbo Jumbo. Of course, if you don't know Tom Kenny is the voice of the cartoon of my generation, SpongeBob SquarePants. And we all know that Tom Kenny can play a great protagonist that we all love and know to love. And here he plays an antagonist that we kind of love and know to love. And Mumbo Jumbo is a great villain, of course, the evil magician. And he's robbing a bank at the beginning, and he basically sucks all the Titans into his hat and into his world, where he claims he's going to put on a giant magic show with all the Teen Titans. And for his final act, he will make the Teen Titans disappear forever. And it's a great episode as he turns all the Titans into different things. Beast Boy's turned into, instead of an animal, he's turned into all objects. He can only turn into a phone, a lamp, this, that. Cyborgs turned into a bear. Raven's turned into a bunny. Robin's turned into a monkey. And Starfire's turned into this giant cat. And all of them are kind of in this world of Mumbo. And man, again, aesthetically, visually, episode is just gorgeous to look at. I love the world of Mumbo Jumbo. It just really pops off the screen. They use a lot of dark blues, and it's just beautiful to look at. Of course, the magic show itself is a lot of fun, where Mumbo is, kind of throwing the plates around, like the classic spinning a plate on a stick. And then, of course, Beast Boy is one of the plates, and he's balancing it on his nose. You're like, oh my God, if he drops it, Beast Boy's cracked into a million pieces. Very funny. This episode has a great sense of humor to it. And I like the whole performance of Tom Kenny as the villain. I think he does a great job. He has a musical number, The Master of Your Fate. With just a wave of my magic wand, I'm the master of your fate. Great stuff. I love Mumbo Jumbo. Tom Kenny just absolutely had so much fun with this role. And I thought he did a wonderful job as the character, because if you remember the first episode he's in, the sum of his parts, he's not really the main antagonist. He's just a side note on that episode. So to me, bringing him back in here and making him the lead antagonist of the episode was very smart to do. A very much more justified return for a villain, much more earned than a Killer Moth or, some of the other villains that they would go on to bring back. I think this villain right here was one they had to bring back because they didn't do enough what they could have in the first episode that he appeared in. So I really liked that. The Titans have to come up with this plan to spoil his, magic show. They all paint each other at the end, and he opens the cage to Raven. The Titans were just here. And Raven goes, alakazam, and kicks him right in the head. They all go flying out of his hat. And of course they arrest him. And I love Tom Kenny's performance as Mumbo, where he goes, hey, that was a pretty neat trick. What's your secret? And Raven kind of, winks to him, nods her head, and she goes, a magician never reveals her secrets. Very nice. I like Bunny Raven, or How to Make a Titanimal Disappear. Like I said, has a great sense of humor, a very fun visual artistic style, and a very fun lead performance from Tom Kenny. as Mumbo Jumbo. I think this is a really, really great episode of Teen Titans as well. A very weird one, but a very great one as well. I would say this is a great episode of the show as well. That is season 3, episode 11. Definitely a great villain. Not my favorite Tom Kenny villain performance. That goes to Ultimate Spider-Man, Dr. Octopus. Very awesome choice there. I gotta say, I really appreciated that they got Tom Kenny to do this, because I think Tom Kenny, and I don't think villain. I always will think SpongeBob SquarePants. It's just, it just is. It just comes to mind. I mean, that really, those two things just go together. But I really, really like him here. I think he does such a good job, gives this episode a great energy to it. And it almost, looking back, it makes me think and wonder, like, maybe Mumbo would have been a better villain to be the lead antagonist of this season. Like, I don't know. Like, and we're going to get into it now, because the next 2 episodes is Titans East Part 1 and 2 respectively. I mean, I guess we're going to get there right now. I mean, I guess so. So coming up next is the 2-part season finale. This is Titans East Part 1 and Part 2. I'll give the plot synopsis for Part 1 first. Aqualad, Bumblebee, Speedy, and Mas Imenos make up Titans East. They ask Cyborg for assistance in taking down Brother Blood. And then, of course, Part 2, Cyborg calls the Titans for help when Brother Blood turns Titans East against him. Yes, Titans East Part 1 and 2. The big arc finale. Now, coming off The Apprentice Part 1 and 2, and coming off Aftershocks 1 and 2, this is such a letdown. It's not half as good as either of those 2-parters. It's really not. Basically, the Titans East, they ask Cyborg to come and help them fix the tower. They do a couple of things, and they ask him, hey, do you want to be our leader? Like, we trust you. You've helped us fight Brother Blood, and we want you to stay here. And Cyborg, his whole character arc here is feeling that, he needs something else, that something is missing, that he can be a leader, and he doesn't have to take commands from Robin, who's getting underneath his skin. So he decides, hell, I'm going to take it. I'm going to stay with Titans East and be their leader. And of course, it's all too good to be true, as all of Titans East has been brainwashed by Brother Blood, and Cyborg thinks that all of this is going down for real, but in reality, it's all a big trap that Brother Blood has set for Cyborg. Okay, interesting enough setup. Then they do this thing where the Titans East turn on Cyborg. He calls for the Titans to come help after telling them, I'm never going to see you again. This is goodbye. And all the Titans are sad. Like, they're like, who will chant the big booyah when we are victorious? And who will laugh at me when I'll make fun of Beast Boy? And who's going to play video games? And you realize that Beast Boy and Cyborg are just such butt buddies. It's so sad to see them separated. And Cyborg didn't even have the decency to say, BB, I love you. I'm sorry. I think this definitely needed that moment. For Cyborg's character to not even say goodbye to the rest of them, he just says goodbye to Robin, and brushes him off. That's not Cyborg. Cyborg would have fucking been like, to individual, all of them said something like, BB, you're one of my best friends. You will always be one of my best friends, and it won't be the same without you. And like the moment that he and Starfire had an earlier episode, and he and Raven in car trouble, he would not have gone away without saying goodbye to me. I think that's so unfair to his character, because there's no way. I mean, Cyborg would have said goodbye to them, at least to me. I don't like that writing. Then Brother Blood comes in, and he is part Cyborg now. He's stolen the design, and he has this weird design where he is, of course, half, and it's, instead of the blue Cyborg, he's a red Cyborg. And he's like, oh, I've taken inspiration. I want to be like you. And this is definitely the writers saying, how do we recreate that Robin Slade dynamic? I know, because Robin saw so much of, he wants to have that big obsession with Slade. This is the other way around, where the villain has the obsession with the hero. I get what they were going for, and I get it, and it's creepy and it's weird that he would do that to himself, but it's not intimidating in the least. Brother Blood is not a good villain past deception. I like deception. It's tension-filled in deception, because you feel like he's going to let some fucking shit go. In combat, though, it's just not believable. He's like an older man, and he's trying to be like jujitsu, kung fu art. It's just I don't know. He just was not believable as a big bad heel to me. I don't like Brother Blood as a villain. I just don't. And this this whole gimmick of, oh, instead of the hero being obsessed with the villain, now the villain's obsessed with the hero. Do you see what we did there? I see what you did. I appreciate what you did. I don't even think, if I was in the boardroom at that time, if they said, hey, Grande, what do you think? Could we greenlight this? I probably would have said, go ahead, try it. Because a lot of the things Glenn Murakami and the people that wrote this show and the people that directed these episodes did turn to gold 9 times out of 10. Here, though, it just didn't work for me. It feels slightly forced. And, of course, the Titans show up, and there's a nice scene where Cyborg says, hey, I'm what a lousy leader I turned out to be. I lost my team in less than a day. And Robin says, listen, like, we're going to figure this out. And Cyborg goes, okay, Robin, what's the plan? And Robin says, you're going to lead the way. And he said, this is your mission. You're a bad guy. Your blueprints, your personal problem. We are going to follow you for a change. And I like that they do that with Robin. Robin realizes I am a bossy person from time to time. I have to realize that Cyborg is old enough. He is second in command. And right now, I'm going to let him take the leads and the reins and take over this mission because he knows blood better than anybody else. I like that Robin has that moment, and I like that Cyborg is like, okay, here's what we're going to do. And they have this great fight, Teen Titans versus Titans East. It's a fun battle. It's nice to see, heroes fighting heroes, even though the heroes on one side are brainwashed by Brother Blood. I like the battle. I think it's a lot of fun. And then outside, you have Cyborg taking on Brother Blood, and Brother Blood is basically beating the hell out of him. And he's ripping him apart. I mean, he's chopping his arms off, his legs off, and, turning into his circuitry and fucking up Cyborg. And it is a good fight, but it's a little one-sided, I would say. I really do think I would have rather a back and forth between the two where it's just very one-sided Brother Blood, and then it becomes very one-sided Cyborg. And Brother Blood says to Cyborg, where is it? What part of this contraption is the part that allows you to resist? And Cyborg goes, it's the man that allows me to resist. It's my spirit. That's the part you can't break. That's the part you can't replicate on a blueprint. My spirit is what truly makes me the individual that I am, which is, again, kind of said in Deception. Like he said, they ask him, oh, how was he not able to brainwash you? He was like, he could fool the man, but not the machine. So here it's, the man resists you, not the machine. It's like, what? Like, what? Like, I don't know. I just thought that was kind of counterproductive there. Like, it's a little bit weird, but it is a nice moment as Cyborg comes like all magical and fucking overpowers Brother Blood, punches him out, and booyah, and kind of saves all of his friends. I like that moment. And then, of course, the Titans East say to him, hey, we'd like you to stay here and be our leader. And Cyborg takes a step back and he goes, you know what, team? I appreciate the offer, but I've already have a team. And he goes, and you already have a leader. You just have to listen to her. And he, of course, is referring to Bumblebee. Very nice moment for Bumblebee because I like her. And you do get to see an episode where it is the Titans East against Control Freak later in season 5, I believe. And I love that episode. But I think this is a nice finale. It's just not as grand or as big or as good as the first two-part episodes in the arcs of seasons 1 and 2, respectively. I like Cyborg's final dialogue with Robin, too, where Robin says, what made you decide to come back? And Cyborg says, I just always felt I was missing something, but I'm not. I've got a taste of it, and I'm good with being with you guys. I'm happy here. And, of course, you see the T-Ship rise up. Starfire and Beast Boy are in good moods, good spirits, kind of leading us into season 4. And, hey, you need a lift? And they kind of drive off into the sunset. A nice moment for Cyborg. And it is not a bad episode by any means, either part. It's just that I feel Cyborg deserved so much better. He deserved a better villain. He deserved a better arc. He deserved a better finale to the arc. Because Deception starts it off so well, only to end it here. And in the middle with Wavelength, which is my least favorite episode of the season, I don't know. I just feel like Cyborg deserved more. And like, usually I'm one to say, hey, this is what I would have done. I honestly don't know what I would have done. I don't know how I would have approached this. That's why I feel slightly hypocritical, because while I don't think Brother Blood was as good as Cyborg deserved, I don't know where I would have gone with it. I understand the writer's psychology of let's make it the opposite Slade. This guy that wants to be Cyborg. And I appreciate that. And I think that was an interesting idea, but it's just, I don't know. I just wish I had something I could offer in return. That's why it's hard to be mad at this episode or call it terrible, because it's not. It is fine enough on its own. It's just a step down from what has come before it. And it's a big, big injustice to me to Cyborg, because Cyborg deserved better than this to me. Yeah, he would have loved to say goodbye to all of them. Exactly. Yeah, there's no way. This episode does give one of my favorite lines. It's the machinery. It's the man. It's not the machinery. It's the man. Yes. Is DC Comics ever going to make a Cyborg standalone movie? I don't know. So from what I'm told, Mateo, and I'll be honest, I haven't seen either Justice League movie, whether it's the Snyder cut or the whatever cut. I don't have 4 hours to watch a black and white fucking Zack Snyder cut of them. I just don't. I'm not that interested. From what I've heard, they did the Cyborg character in those movies very badly, and it's unfair. And I know the actor that plays him was upset about it. I haven't seen the movie, so I cannot say. I will take his word for it, though, because Cyborg here, Khary Payton as Cyborg in this season, is fantastic. I love Khary Payton's performance because he brings an energy to Cyborg that no other actor ever brought before. If you remember in the comics, Cyborg was exactly that. He didn't really have personality. He was kind of half man, half robot, and his personality was more roboto, more, very one-dimensional. Here he's funny. He's the life of the party, cracking jokes. He's lovable. He can kick ass. He could take names. Cyborg is a great, great character in the animated series. He did deserve more. I really do. I do think he deserves a standalone movie. I think the Teen Titans as a whole deserve more than just Trouble in Tokyo. I think this deserves a live action, just the Glen Murakami 5 big budget 2-hour fucking superhero movie. In a world where we have Doctor Strange and the Guardians of the Galaxy and the fucking Suicide Squad, why has Teen Titans never gotten that live action mainstream film? The Ninja Turtles, Michael Bay rebooted the Ninja Turtles, man, and did a horrible job with the designs, and they look terrible. And I like the first 2 Ninja Turtle movies. Yes, even Secret of the Ooze. I like those, the older ones with the, of course, rubber suits. But the fact that this never got a theatrical run as a fucking, live action, I think that's a damn shame. Or even do a 2-hour animated. You could do a 2-hour animated. You don't have to do it live action. You could totally do 2-hour animated in the theater. How cool would that have been? How many people would go see that? In a world where we have all of these other movies that are far less popular than Teen Titans. Guardians of the Galaxy is not as popular as Teen Titans. It's not. Raven as a sole character is more beloved and popular in pop culture than Suicide Squad. I'll tell you this right now. When you go to a Comic-Con, which I've been to a few, you go to any Comic-Con, you will see more Ravens than fucking Harley Quinns. And that's saying something. That's how important Raven is. Robin is Americana. Cyborg is a great character. Starfire is a great character. Beast Boy, they're all great characters. I just think they deserve so much more than just this show, just 5 seasons. I don't know if you want to do a season 6, if you want to do a live action version, if you want to do a live, an animated movie to go to a theater. You got to do something. I think the time to do it was in the past, and they just, for whatever reason, never pulled the trigger. It's a shame. It's okay. 2-parter episode. It's an okay 2-part episode and has a nice little ending. Yeah, I would agree. It's just okay. So here on the ranking here, I'm going to have to say that. I do think it's just okay. Maybe solid. This is tough. It's okay or solid. I'm going to lean towards solid for both parts. It's probably a little bit better than Wavelength. Has a little bit more going for it. But I don't know. Just overall, it's definitely something that I think could have been done better for Cyborg. I saw the 4-hour movie. It was a painful commitment. Yeah, no, exactly, man. I'm not if people tell me the first version's terrible, they're like, oh, the 4 hours is the good version. I'm like, bro, I'm good. And I believe the actor. I know the actors said horrible things about the writers and the producers, and that, they did Cyborg grave injustice too. I don't even have to see it to know he's probably right. I don't know. To me, Cyborg shouldn't be with the Justice League. Cyborg deserves his own movie or with the Teen Titans, one or the other, not the Justice League. TMNT with Sheamus. I have said enough already. Blah. Yeah. Fucking Casey Jones beats Bebop and Rocksteady by his fucking self. Without the Turtles. Think about that. He beats Bebop and Rocksteady without the Turtles. holy shit, man. Like, those movies are fucking terrible. Like, oh my God. Horror shows. Maybe it's a good thing they didn't touch this with live action. If it was going to be that bad, or Justice League, or any of these other generic, maybe it's good they never touched it, and they leave me with this here. Even though Teen Titans Go, in my opinion, is a disgrace. I know a lot of young kids like it, and I know that's a demographic for young kids. I just don't appreciate that when they made that Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans movie, that a lot of the humor in it was shitting on fans of the original series, saying that we're overweight and that we are all internet marks. I don't know if people have seen that. Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans is a movie they did, and it's basically bringing the old school show with the new school show that is intended for kids. And a lot of the humor is, oh, you used to love this old show. Well, you're a fat loser that complains on the internet, and, you have a neck beard and all of these stereotypes. And like, I didn't appreciate it as a fan of the original show. I'm like, okay, yeah, I am a guy that goes on the internet. I like to talk about movies. I like to generally be positive, but it seems like people like when I bitch about stuff too. But that being said, it's not right to shit on people that were fans of this. Like, okay, if you're a fan of the new Teen Titans Go and you have kids or whatever, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But don't shit on me for liking this. That's my whole 2 cents on that. Like, I don't like Teen Titans Go, but I'm not going to shit on somebody for liking it. And that's sort of what the creators of that did. They were like, oh yeah, you like that original show? Like, and you don't like us? Like, up yours. Didn't think that was right. Teen Titans is on Spider-Man level for me, and that's saying something because he's the best hero. I would agree with that wholeheartedly. Spider-Man's my favorite solo hero, but my favorite superheroes of all time is the Teen Titans. Like, I don't have any tattoos, but if I ever got one, I would probably do a Teen Titans tattoo. It's believe it or not, like, if you don't believe me here, because I this is how big of a fan I am of Teen Titans. It's actually my phone background. Like, granted, it's going to be a little bit glary. I don't want to make the camera all messed up, but that's my phone background right there. Like, I am a huge Teen Titans mark. It's been like that for over a year. That's been my phone background. Like, I love the family mentality and style of this show. I just love the whole element of that. I just love that they're one big happy family and a team at the end of the day, and they have these great character moments with each other coming into their own. It's like a coming of age superhero show. I don't know. I really like it. The reason they had these jokes in Teen Titans versus Teen Titans Go is because they were butthurt about people not liking Teen Titans Go when it came out, wanting the original show back. Exactly. And like, people can be upset about that. Like, what? I'm so bad because I like the original show and I would rather that than this new show where the Teen Titans do fucking laundry. Yeah. Am I so bad for that? I guess so. I don't get their mentality. I don't. Like, I have heard that the actors are not even a big fan of the show, but hey, that's a paycheck. So, and you're a voice actor, you're going to take work. I mean, that's what voice actors do. They will take all the work they can get. If you notice, voice actors are able to do so much more work yearly as opposed to regular actors because it's easier. It is easier. And whether, and it does still take a big acting chops, but it's easier. I mean, you go in a studio, you can go over your lines, you can think about what you're going to do. You don't have to do it as much with your body. You don't have to perform in front of a camera. You're really just performing into a mic, which does take talent. Don't get me wrong. Tara Strong, Khary Payton, Scott Menville, Greg Sipes, and Hynden Walsh all do a great job as the Titans. But it is, I understand why they all come back for Teen Titans Go too. It is a paycheck at the end of the day, and you have to get your work in. But yeah, no, I personally, with this season, I think Cyborg deserved better, but the individual character episodes as a whole are fantastic. As we look at this list one last time here, Deception, my favorite episode of the season, is the season premiere. I love it. Haunted, the best Robin episode. Spellbound, a great episode with Raven. Revolution, a very fun episode where the four Titans have to work without Robin against Mad Mod. Very interesting art dynamic and aesthetic. The Beast Within, the best Beast Boy episode. Bunny Raven, another fun Raven one. Betrothed, a good one. And then the other five, kind of solid to okay for me. Nothing to run home about there. Decent enough, good-hearted, but at the end of the day, I would say season 3, like I said at the beginning, is a little bit of a step down from season 1 and 2. It's funny, though, with the following season, season 4, which I will get into, not tonight, but another time. Season 4, I think, has the best arc, but the character episodes aren't as good as they are here. So it's funny. Like, part of me wishes you had these character episodes and then the Raven arc and then maybe the Cyborg season was the next season, or with those arc episodes, maybe in another world that would have worked better. I'm not sure. But overall, season 3 still a good episode, still a good season of Teen Titans. It's not my least favorite season. That would be the last season. I don't care for the last season that much. There's a couple of good episodes, but overall, season 5 is the weakest for me, the final season. But season 4, whenever I get into that, granted, I don't know when that will be. I try to space these out because I like to produce horror content as much as I can for you guys. And next week we will be returning to horror content. No worries. But I do like talking about Teen Titans as well. And I don't know. I did enjoy talking about season 3 tonight. Titans Spider-Man crossover with Scorpion and Slade as the villain would be your favorite thing to see. Yeah, no, that would be pretty cool, man. Scorpion and Deathstroke taking on the Titans and Spidey. I don't know how they'd ever do that because it's DC and Marvel, so I don't think that would ever happen, unfortunately. You know what they should have done? One last thing before we wrap here. They should have done Static Shock and the Teen Titans. That should have happened. Like, and I will be honest with you, man. I am never, ever one for a crossover. I don't like it. I really am old school in that vein. I do not like crossovers. I don't like it. Just for whatever reason, it to me, it just takes away. That's, I think, my main problem with season 5 is it's like we've spent 4 seasons with the Titans. Now it's like, oh, look, there's Kid Flash. There's, this character, that character. There's a couple episodes that don't even focus on the main 5 or one of the main 5. The episodes speed up or light speed. Their Teen Titans are not even in it. I don't like that. To me, I'm watching Teen Titans. I want to watch it for these 5, the Glenn Murakami 5 and Terra. That's it. Like, there's no way you should be doing an episode that's about Kid Flash on this. To me, it's the wrong place, wrong time. I know people disagree. That's a beloved episode. I just, for one, think if you're doing Teen Titans, I want to be spending time with the Teen Titans. And I get the argument, oh, well, you want every episode to be like that? Actually, yeah, I do. Call me crazy. I do. I want to spend time with them, especially in the final season where, it should be all about them. And it's partially about so many other things too. To me, it just became very much convoluted, a little too many cooks in the kitchen, if you will. So, I mean, that is what it is. But I really like Teen Titans season 3. If I did a season ranking, it would probably be second from the bottom. It's better than season 5, but I would say it's tough because I would put season 4 over because I like the arc better. But season 3 has the better character episodes. So it depends, whatever you'd want. If you're more of an arc person, season 4. If you're more of a individual character moment episodes, then you go season 3 to me. It's one or the other, but it's a close one for sure. But yeah, no, I definitely had fun doing this. I feel as long as you're giving fan service to both sides, the crossover, it can work. It can work. I just think I don't like it as much as most people. Like for example, I remember when the Avengers, or no, it was Captain America Civil War that came out. People were fucking excited. Yo, Iron Man's going to fight fucking Captain America. Holy shit. And Spider-Man's going to be there. Blah, 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 blah. I don't care for that. Like, I want to see heroes fight villains. I've never been a big, like, Batman and Superman. That idea never got me excited. Like, Superman is the Man of Steel. Batman has a fucking belt. Like this. Why do people want to see? I don't get the appeal of that. I don't. Like, it doesn't click to me. It's not like a Kong and Godzilla where I'm like, holy shit, that does sound interesting. Superman versus Batman? Really? Like, what? Batman has fucking gadgets. Like, Superman's gonna, I don't like that. I don't know. To me, it should be the Teen Titans fighting the villain of the week. But I'm old school like that. That's just how I am. So I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm not, for all those crossovers, things like that. But I don't know. For me, I definitely like season 3 as a whole overall. So if you guys catch the replay of this, I'd definitely be interested to see, your favorite episodes. If you want to comment down below, please do that. Just a couple more comments here. We're going to wrap. Hey, Grande, happy 4th of July here in Canada. Tomorrow it's Canada Day. Happy Canada Day, Mateo. Happy 4th to you as well, my friend. I'll be chilling back, relaxing, enjoying my day off of work. Very, very nice. I'm very excited, man. Happy Canada Day to you, and happy 4th, man. Well, I don't always feel like it has to be a versus match and a crossover. It could be just like they're teaming up to take down a villain. Yes, and with Teen Titans, I would be much more for that, like, for me. But you're right, totally. It can be done good. I'm not saying crossovers are all bad. generally don't get excited about them as much as most people. I think that's just my kind of 2 cents. I believe they did they did Teen Titans versus Justice League, which I've not seen. And it's the Teen Titans older. I haven't seen that. I would watch it, but I feel like I'd get very upset if the Titans didn't win. And in versus movies like that, there's usually no winner. So, I mean, it is what it is. They did Batman versus the Ninja Turtles, believe it or not. And fucking Batman beat all 4 Ninja Turtles without breaking a sweat and taking a hit. Like, that movie frustrated the hell out of me. So it can be done right, but it also can be done oh so wrong. So I mean, it is what it is. But everybody, thank you for watching. If you don't, like I said, if you don't own this Blu-ray, you can check it out on HBO Max. I believe they re-rendered these in 4K on that. And season 3 is a great visual aesthetic. So I highly recommend, if you do not own this Blu-ray set, to watch these re-rendered episodes in 4K on HBO Max. And yeah, no, we will be back next time. I believe I'm between 2 episodes. We're either going to do Exploitation Explosion number 2, which I did a year ago. I did Exploitation Explosion, where we take 3 exploitation movies and exploit them. Or we do a slasher summer special, where I talk about 3 different slashers. I don't know which one I'm going to decide on yet. I'm going to decide somewhere over the weekend which one I'm going to prep for. But it's either Exploitation Explosion or Summer Slashing. We will stay tuned to let you know. So everybody, have a great rest of your evening. Have a happy 4th of July and Canada Day. And we will catch you next time only on The Graveyard. 2 sweet peace, and we'll catch you next time.